going to move on to a bit of a movie that is, how do I say this? The complete opposite of what Wonka was. Because as happy and giddy as Wonka was, Iron Claw is the complete and utter opposite of a vibrant, happy movie. And just so everyone knows, me and Mr. 64 over here did not watch this movie. Pancakes and Grim did. So they're going to be telling us what they think.
We'll be spearheading this
We're
one.
going to be taking in this review with you guys.
Yep,
Yep.
that's it. Yeah. So take
Oh.
it away, Big Grim. Tell us.
So, because we actually did have a full stack this week, essentially, we were talking about like certain movies, and admittedly, I tried to take the initiative on this one because the three of you said, "Yeah, what are we gonna see this week? Oh, let's see Aquaman. Yeah, let's see Aquaman. Yeah, Aquaman." And I was like, "No, we need to go see the Iron Claw." And Pancakes, you're the only other wrestling fan among the four of us, so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
dragging you with me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, yeah, no, and again, Spade, you said it perfectly, because Wonka was just fun from beginning to end. The Iron Claw will give you depression.
Wow.
Like, okay, so coming at from like the wrestling fans' perspective, the story of the Von Erichs is riddled with tragedy. Like, things have happened to this family that no family should ever have to go through.
In this movie, they talked about the family being cursed,
Mhm.
and with all the tragedy, it kind of gives proof to that theory that they are truly cursed with the unfortunate events. But behind the tragedy, you have a family. You have a story of a family, a brotherhood, jealousy, the problems. They did show good times of what they went through. Like I said in the short, this is for wrestling fans, but I feel like non-wrestling fans can still enjoy it.
See, that's actually the thing about this too. Yeah, I think this was made more for the non-wrestling fans, if that makes any more sense. But I feel like if you are a wrestling fan, yeah, you will appreciate this. But there were certain aspects of this movie that I was expecting a little bit more. Like, I was expecting a little bit more of like behind the scenes things of like what happens in the locker room and stuff. Meantime, we only got one thing of that when they were going over the match, literally right before they went out to the ring. And I'm like, come on. Like, I was expecting a little bit more of like The Wrestler. You remember that movie?
Yeah, I do. But the part when I don't know if this actually happened for real, but when Flair's talking to Kevin Von Erich after their match,
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Two scenes. Granted, I'm not expecting the entire movie to be like that, but you could have shown us like a little more insight with that. Now, having said that, at least from an acting perspective, this is the best Zac Efron that we have ever seen, bar none. This is his best role.
Wow.
It wasn't
Kevin Von Erich.
it wasn't was it High School Musical?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
he's
High School
come,
Musical.
he's come
I
a
thought
long
that's
way
what
from
that
High
was.
School Musical.
His most iconic role, probably. Not his
most
best
of-
acted.
This is the most serious role I've ever seen him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Baywatch?
No, it wasn't.
He was
Baywatch.
great
No.
in Baywatch. I
He
thought it
was pretty
great.
good at Baywatch. I appreciate.
I think he
Listen,
was way more jacked in this movie than
well,
Baywatch.
I was just about to say that's the thing though too, because I was gonna say strain. The time that he put into building his body into this, my God. And if you look at like Kevin Von Erich from like his days, like when he was like in his prime, big dude. I'm almost positive he was clean the entire time. I don't think he was on steroids.
Well, it was the 80s, so you never know.
That is also very true. But having said that, fine. Even better. That puts even more of a better perspective on Zac Efron to build a body like this cleanly and to not like take anything like this. Listen, everyone, I felt like this entire movie was just slept on, and it had the unfortunate part of coming out at the same time as Aquaman, and we're going to talk about that later. But I felt like I'm just gonna say it. I felt like, at least from an acting perspective, I'm going to assume this movie blew away Aquaman, and like any other kind. And I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges over here.
Could probably agree with that.
Okay.
We're talking about storyline wise, right? Not money.
Well, no. We're talking about storyline wise, more than likely. Also,
Probably.
I don't know if we can really say that because, like, this was based on a true story and based on true events. Having said that, though, I'm sure a lot of people went to go hate watch Aquaman too. But let's save that for the Aquaman trailer, please.
What like any movie
For the
that's
review.
based on like any movie that's based on a true story, they took their creative liberties.
They really did.
They
I don't know if you should say that you like any movie that is like a biography type movie.
Well,
I wouldn't say every movie. There are some movies that suck that are biographies.
Yeah.
understood, but I feel like in this past year, like the better movies have been better, based on real life events. But for
That I'll agree with.
as far as this movie with the creative liberties, for the length of the movie, they even forgot to include one more brother that passed away from tragedy.
Well,
Because
It's
it's
not-
like too much tragedy then at that point.
Well,
That's pretty
listen,
much what they said. Yeah.
firstly, Johnny,
That was
you'd be
the firstborn.
surprised.
The firstborn.
Yes, that was the first
oh
boy.
my god.
That
Yeah.
oh yeah,
He
no,
drowned and electrocuted.
Yes.
Well, he drowned and electrocuted at the same time.
That was the
Yeah.
oldest brother. Like I think he was like 7 years old or something like
6
that.
months old.
he was
or something like that.
no, he was young. I think he was around that age. I want to say 2 years old. That was the very first son. And then we got to Kevin, who's technically the second oldest, but for this time he is the oldest.
Now Kevin is who? Is it Zac Efron? or
That's
is
Zac
it
Efron.
Jeremy?
That's Zac
Efron,
Efron's
yes.
character. He's the only surviving brother that's still living to this day.
Oh my God!
While
Listen,
while he saw what happened to all his brothers one by one in such heartbreaking fashion
When
Oh
when
my
did this
God.
take place? Like, what-
in the 80s.
This was-
in the
No,
90s.
well,
this was in the early '80s to the early '90s.
Well, another thing to keep in mind, it was like it was a family business. They were huge. They were stars in Texas, down in the Dallas area, world class championship wrestling,
Yep. No, you had it.
and they were stars that went all over the country. I think they had the movie showed them being showed on ESPN. In the wrestling history, this is we grew up wrestling fans. This is way before what we have now, before John Cena, before the Attitude Era. This is still the heart and soul of the territory days.
Absolutely.
That's
this
why-
was before WWF really started to get like rocking and rolling.
So, like,
essentially.
I mean, to be a wrestling mark or a nerd for a moment, like it was so cool to see like someone portrayed Harley Race come to the territory. Ric Flair. I thought the guy that played Flair, Flair is essentially over the top, and he had to be over the top. This
Oh,
particular
very
actor.
much so. Yes.
Who played him? Ric Flair?
I'm gonna let you
Chavo
answer that
Guerrero
one.
Jr.
No.
I
Ironically,
thought that's
no.
that's what
He
it was.
played the Iron Sheik.
Oh, the Iron Sheik. Yes.
Yeah.
Aaron Dean Eisenberg is his name.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
But props to Chavo. He's the one that trained all the actors.
Oh yeah.
He has a new career for himself. He's still an active pro wrestler. He comes from the legendary Guerrero family, who should deserve their own movie in their own right.
Absolutely.
But he was the main wrestling trainer for the actors on a show that we all enjoy. Unfortunately, I got canceled on Netflix. Glow. He worked on the Rock show. Was it called Young Rock on NBC?
Yeah. Young Rock.
He also he's become the go-to wrestling coordinator, choreographer for actors if they're doing something wrestling related.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he is that good to like be recognized by this and to at least like train everyone. But
Even with all the tragedy, Von Erichs belong to the conversation of the greatest wrestling family, along with the Harts, the Guerreros, the Rhodes.
the roads. Yep.
They're definitely in there with their legend. They're still absolute legends in
Top tier. 1000%.
in the business. I think it was even Carrie that became NWA world champion after who was the first brother that passed away in Japan.
Oh my God. That was David.
David.
Oh my God.
I think David was the anointed one, but
So, by the terms of the movie with this one, because we're having a conversation, we're going to let you guys know about this essentially. David was set to become like the star, but then tragedy struck and he had some kind of intestinal failure. But that's another thing we have to talk about this movie too, but we're going to get to that. Because he was being egged on by his father throughout this whole time, and the burden was put on him that like, oh, I'm going to be the guy. Yeah, I can't let anything stop me. I think that is what led to his demise, because at any time he could have went to go see a doctor and could have gotten things. He would have lost the championship, but he just decided, no, the championship is a lot more important. So I'm going to go to Japan and I'm going to die in my hotel room with no one around.
That's a bit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
a
I,
bit depressing and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, it's almost like I was right with saying
yeah.
this is one of
You
the
weren't
most
kidding.
depressing things I've seen.
You weren't kidding.
That's number one.
Yeah,
Wait
but-
till you get to the others.
But see, I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you guys talk about all the brothers, but nobody brought up Carrie Von Erich, who was played by Jeremy Allen.
Getting to
Oh,
it.
we're getting to that.
Yes.
Okay, let's get
This
to that.
is a
Talk to me.
build up.
The
Because-
depression rabbit hole is only just started.
Yeah,
he
because as
probably
an
had-
actor, I love Jeremy Allen White.
Jeremy
like from,
Allen White is one of my new favorite
Yeah.
up and coming actors.
I agree.
Love him.
Was he? He was the guy in the Bear, right?
Yes.
He was in The
Yeah.
Bear.
See-
Before that, he was in Shameless as
People
well.
were saying he
That's
would have made a
it.
great Wonka in Wonka.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know
he
about
actually
going
looks
that
like
far.
Gene
He
Wilder.
looks-
Yes.
No, but that's
Yes.
the thing. He looks
like him
exactly
too.
like Gene Wilder. And yeah, I would have chosen him not for this movie, not for Wonka, for what we got.
No.
If we would have had what you said earlier, Johnny, about like, oh, like, you know, it's not like Gene Wilder, who's a little more like depressive, manic and everything, then I would have chose Jeremy
Yes.
Allen
That's
White.
what people were saying.
But, okay.
And he's a
so
great actor, though.
getting back to the Claw. So that was brother number one. Should we move on to brother number two?
we're talking about Carrie now.
No, we're not.
Oh,
David?
Mike.
Yeah, we're talking about Mike.
Oh,
So, here's a brother that was wanted nothing to do with wrestling in the wrestling family, but because of David's passing, got once again egged on by his father to get into the business. Something happens in the ring, and I believe he tore his shoulder.
He hurt his shoulder,
Yes.
dislocated his shoulder. The point is he got hurt in the ring with his shoulder. He needed surgery.
Oh no! What? No! This Pancakes. This deserves to be dragged out just a little bit. Gets hurt in the ring, goes in for a basic surgery to get his shoulder fixed, and that's when things go horribly wrong.
Oh, jeez.
He ends up with 107 degree fever.
107.
Oh my, and,
yeah.
and that's the degree where your brain starts to fry.
Yeah, and
basically.
he slipped into a coma.
Yeah.
And
That's past the point of no return on it.
yes,
that sounds like fun.
and
Christ.
when he came out of that, he was never the same because, and they never said it, but yes, he portrayed to have brain damage.
Yeah.
And he could barely put sentences together. It at certain points it looked like he was drooling,
Oh my god.
like just from like it was just a bad thing. And here's the thing though too, it appeared that he was aware of everything happening around him, and he was aware of what was happening to himself.
he just had
so
no
he
control
just
over
couldn't-
his body or
He
communication skills.
couldn't express what he truly wanted to say.
Well,
Now I have to ask though, like, what was that like? What, like the visual of that, watching that on screen, like him drooling and like going through like realistic imagery of brain damage and not being able to communicate, like
not being able to look anyone in the eye,
yeah.
just
Gut-
barely.
Gut wrenching.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't cringe hard to watch. It was, oh my god,
like
look at-
heartbreaking.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. But there was one thing that he could control.
Mhm.
He could control what he did with his life. So he decided to swallow half a bottle of pills and chug a beer.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Now let's move on to the main course. This is Carrie Von Erich.
I think he was the most talented brother of them all.
Texas Tornado? Well, I would put him up there with Kevin, but because of things that happened with Kevin,
yeah.
yes. See, okay, here's another thing that, like, before we get into that, Kevin was originally the chosen child, essentially, as being the older, the one who put everything into the business. Now, basically, the problem is that he wasn't well spoken in the sense that, like, you put a camera in front of him, he's tripping over his words, he doesn't know what to say, he's given a script, but he can't just, like, put from brain to mouth.
He was the original Brock Lesnar.
No. I listen.
Goldberg.
Brock was original Brock was better than Kevin.
Really?
It was bad. It was bad.
Okay.
Like that's why Dave essentially got the push, because the push in the business is mean like oh, we're pushing you to be the guy. Essentially, he runs down to the ring and he gives this great speech speaking on behalf of his brother. And even in the movie, his brother's just like, why didn't you let me talk? And he's like, I did try to let you talk. You didn't say anything. That's why I had to go with the show and I had to speak for you.
Well, yeah, because that's what wrestling is all about. It's like,
Yes.
forget about the moves and everything that you do. If you have no charisma,
You're telling a story.
Yep.
yeah, you're telling a story. So if you can't say it on screen, whether it's from your actions or actual words that you're supposed to say, it's not going to happen. And that's why people love wrestling. It's
Yep.
the storylines. It's the way they act. That's why most of these people who are wrestlers now become actors, because they've been acting every single week
Pro
for the
pro
last.
wrestling is an art and in storytelling. So start getting over that stigma, people.
Well, 3 or 4 go on to acting, but we're not going to get there.
I didn't say all of them are good. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that. You
No,
know,
no. I completely understand what you're saying. But okay, I've beat around the bush for far enough. Let's talk about Carrie. Carrie Von Erich. Carrie Von Erich was the brother that was given the push. Now, he was the one who won the belt. As soon as they won, essentially like a triple championship match, that's when like things started getting good for them. He went out, he bought a motorcycle, and he was just like, you know what? We won. I never thought I was going to be Intercontinental Champion.
He was
before.
he was world champion.
No. I'm talking about the accident.
Oh, the accident.
The
Okay.
car. Yeah. I never thought I'd be Intercontinental Champion. You know what? I can't sleep. I'm gonna go for a ride on my bike. All right, little brother, be safe.
What could go wrong?
Well,
and then disaster strikes.
Right.
got into an accident, and was it his right or his left?
I forget which side, but one of his feet had to be.
Left foot gone. Gone. For wrestler, gone.
One thing I have to give credit for this movie,
Mm-hmm.
even though when they got to the parts of that, the tragedies and the unfortunate events of the brothers, they didn't have to. It was basically implied. They didn't have to show the event, like the one brother dying in Japan, or they showed Carrie on the motorcycle and the camera pans away.
Yep.
And
We didn't have to see the actual wreck. We did see the aftermath, which I put to A24 because they are a brilliant company in producing movies. I love them to death. But again, some of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my life. And then that's also led to believe the last thing of Carrie Von Erich, who was going through some bad times mentally with depression, essentially called
drugs.
Well, once again, you said it. It was the 80s.
It was the 80s, early 90s.
So essentially called his brother, said, hey, I need help. Okay, where are you? Let me come get you. And wasn't able to really help him and wasn't able to go get him because he wasn't told. Called his dad and once again said, Dad, something's wrong with Carrie. We have to find him. Well, he's your brother. That's your problem.
Wow.
Yep. And
So the father said, I don't care about my kid.
yes.
You as his brother,
Yes.
go find him.
Yes.
Well, that's what the story was basically.
That has
Sounds like a nice guy.
It's been
Right?
no, actually, sounds like
Father of the Year award goes.
sounds like a nice couple because in the beginning, Dad was picking on Mike for not getting into wrestling. Here comes Kevin being the big brother, going to Mom and say, "Hey, Mom, could you talk to Dad? He's kind of getting on Mike for not getting. Could you talk to him? Tell him like tone it down. He doesn't listen to me. No, that is you and your brothers. I don't get between you and your brothers.
It almost, well, I mean, in this case,
So-
it's both parents, but like it almost sounds like a Joe Jackson on the Jackson 5 type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like he's going to
Yeah.
beat his sons into shape to make
Uh-huh.
them stars. And
Well, as
Yeah.
we said earlier, famous families, right?
yeah, right.
Well, the way they portrayed the father Fritz, they made him a cold-hearted bastard for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah. So getting to, I promise we'll finish this soon, folks. I know you want to get into bigger and better things, but essentially, that next morning when Kevin goes to his father's house to try to possibly talk to Carrie or whatever, walks into the front door, you hear a gunshot coming from the right. and there's Kevin cradling his little brother.
Oh man.
They took that's one of the parts they took our liberties with.
Oh my god.
The father in real life, the father found Carrie. It wasn't Kevin, so they created that part for extra drama to add to the
Emotional impact.
Yeah, exactly.
They impacted emotionally, at least to me. But yes, okay. So overall, to wrap things up, it's a great movie. It is a love letter to the Von Erichs, if you can call it that. But at the same time, I would beg every wrestling fan to go see this movie. If you are a tried and true fan, absolutely go see this movie. Make sure you have something happy afterwards, though.
Like Wonka.
I was just gonna
honestly,
say that.
Like
Go
the Wonka movie.
make it a
Literally.
double feature day. See Iron Claw first, and then Wonka, and hopefully that will raise your spirits.
The quote unquote happy note is that Kevin and his wife Pam, the relationship they show in the movie, goes on to have a lot of kids, a lot of grandchildren, and
A lot isn't the word for this. They have a legion.
Right, but isn't one of the granddaughters? She was in NW.
TNA, Lacey Von Erich, and currently now Kevin's two of his kids are a tag team.
Nice.
And they have made appearances on AEW. So the Von Erich dynasty continues to this day. This movie, I thought it definitely should get some nominations. Whether it's win with the heavy hitter, it's not going to get nominated. Probably not. I hope Zac Efron gets recognition for taking on this role, getting into the shape that he was. Oh my god. The acting,
From everyone.
the writer,
honestly.
the writer and director Sean Durkin deserves so much to bring essentially the story of a family that is a real life Hollywood script, and this is the movie we got finally to tell the story.
There you go. So, guys, yeah. Honestly, I kind of wish you two would have seen it with us, but of course we need to split things down. But yeah,
I'll wait until I'm in a really good mood.
Yeah, no, you should.
Sounds like
You
it'll
should.
take me down a few notches.
If you need a downer,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's some heavy stuff, man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they saw. That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they think.
Yep.
Let us know what you guys think. Down low in the comment section below. Leave a comment, like it, subscribe. Don't forget to share because we need more views. So share it away. And don't forget, in the description box, we have all our social media links, whether it is our Instagram or TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And with that said, go watch it. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.